Hi everyone, back again. I wanted to share with you something. Yesterday when I was doing my prayer and I picked two cards from Colette Baron-Reid's Wisdom of the Oracle card deck, and I was gifted with number 52, which is about mending. Let's see. Okay. There we go. You can see that better. And I was gifted with number 47, go the distance. And mending, what really stood out for me in the guide was, now is the time for mending rifts, healing wounds, and letting go of the old hurts in order to reclaim your power. Now is the time to forgive, to release, to make peace, and to make amends to others. Set yourself free. And then for go the distance, what stood out for me from the guide was, this card is a reminder that you have endurance, strength, and fortitude to carry you all the way. Remain true to yourself. Your authenticity alone will keep you in alignment with the energy of miracles. What is yours will never be withheld from you. Remember that. So then when I was thinking about gratitude, and I thought what came out for me was, I started thinking about people in my life who have taught me important life lessons. And so for some of you may wonder, okay, well, what does all this have to do with astrology and oracle cards? Well, for one thing, the messages from the oracle cards, it never fails. You know, I pray and I do a reading for myself, and there's always a message. It's like when I pray with scripture and using the Bible. You know, sometimes I would just open up the Bible and just pick a spot, and the reading would be just perfect. It's the message that I needed to hear that day. Well, I find it's the same thing with oracle cards, and that's why I find them so powerful in my life. And it's really helped to awaken my intuition, and that's why they're good for me. And they can be good for you as well. But I'll just talk about me right now. So they have helped me to grow, especially over the last few years as I've been working with them and learning about them. And what does astrology have to do with all this? Well, astrology is all about timing. It's all about timing in our lives and how things happen at certain times in our lives. Like if you think back, the planet Saturn is all about life lessons, and every 7 years there's always something. And so when I look back, when I was 7 years old, my parents split up, and different things may happen, but particularly when you're 28, that's when it's your first Saturn return, 56 to 57, somewhere around those years. It's usually something important really happens. And so I started thinking about, okay, that's timing, yes, and timing, and then it made me think about certain people in my life who came into my life, and it was for a short period of time, maybe a longer period of time. And one in particular really stood out for me because it was in relation to mending and going the distance. And it was a lesson that I shared with many people over the years, and so I'd like to share it with you today, if I may. And this was, again, about a person coming into my life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime. Well, this person was for a reason and for a season, because it wasn't a long time that we were friends, but she came into my life at a very important time. As many of you know, I'm a retired Catholic school teacher, and many moons ago, I was teaching at a school, and there was a particular colleague that I just did not get along with, and I'm pretty laid back, and I look at myself, I consider myself to be a person who is accepting and includes other people. Inclusivity and is really important to me, and welcoming others and all that. But there, for whatever reason, there was just this one person that she just got on my nerves. It's not like she did anything to me. Maybe it was because she never really responded. There was never really any any connection there. And, you know, we were walking down the hall and I'd say hi and she'd walk on by. And I guess I was taking that personally. And I looked upon her as being stuck up. But that was just my perception. And it wasn't very good. Now, let's just put it that way. And I wasn't looking at her in a very complimentary light. So, but I had to see her every day. I mean, I went to work, I saw her every day. So, what happened was, and this is where this other person came into my life, and she was kind of like a mentor, if you want to call it, a sponsor, if you want to call it that, those of you who are familiar with the 12-step programs. And she was a part of my life for just a short period of time. But I was talking to her about this other lady I was having problems with. And it was my problems. She wasn't doing anything other than being herself. But it was really irritating me and getting me all upset. So this, I'll call her Alice. And Alice said to me, well, she said, this is what you need to do. And she was quite specific. She said, I want you to make a list of all the things that you would like for yourself. You know, so make a whole lot, write them out, not just think about them, but to make a list and write out the things that you would hope and dream for and wish for yourself. And I thought, okay, I can do that. And then she said, I want every night or every day, I'd like you to pray for that other person, that they have all the things that you wish for yourself. And she said that she told me I had to do that for a whole month, 30 days. Each day I had to pray for that person that she would have all the things that I wished for myself. And I thought, oh, no way, I'm not going to do that. And I'll tell you, I got so stubborn and I was so, I just didn't want to do it. I was unwilling to do it. And so, but every night, you know, I'd be praying at the end of the day and doing my nightly journal and stuff, and it would bug me, you know, and in the back of my mind, and it's like almost in my head, is, you got to do it, you know, she's right. But I held off for a couple of days, and then finally, one evening, and it was getting to be almost midnight, and I still hadn't done it yet. And I thought, oh, I got it. I had done my list, but I hadn't started praying for this person. And I thought, I finally gave in and surrendered, and I started praying for her. All the things that I wished for myself, I was praying that she would have, you know, a nice warm bed to sleep in at night, good friends, you know, a loving home, you know, good health, all that kind of stuff that was on my list. So, and I did that. I was faithful to that. I did that for 30 days. And you know what? At the end of 30 days, and this is what was so amazing, when I noticed at the end of the 30 days that I could go to work and I would be walking down the hall and I'd meet this person, and the knot and all that uptightness that I had before, it was gone. It was gone. And I could actually say, hi, how are you? And mean it. And it was, the thing was that person had not changed. I had changed. My heart had changed. And that was a lesson. I will be forever grateful to Alice for teaching me that. That was a lesson that I learned many, many years ago. And it's not often that I run into somebody that I feel that, ooh, that's something about them that I just don't like. Not that they've done anything to me, but there's just something about that person that I don't like. And I remember what Alice taught me, and I do what she told me, you know. And I always marvel that she didn't say just do it for a week. She told me to do it for a month. So she obviously thought I really needed to do it for a month, which I obviously did. And so when I was looking back about gratitude, I was thinking about the life lessons that I've learned and the people who have come into my life who have taught me those things. And so it's something that I sometimes pass on to other people if they're struggling with those things. And I just know it was of real benefit to me. So I'm most grateful for Alice and for that lesson that she taught me. And I hope that that may be of benefit to you. So you take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.